5 aquatic plants that will change your aquarium forever. Why forever? Because once you've used them in your aquarium and learn how to make them thrive, you are going to want to use them in every aquarium you ever make. Let's find out together what these amazing plants are. Number 1. Staurogens repens. This plant is quite different from other stem plants. It doesn't change color under high lighting like many Rotalas or Luigias do. Staurogens repens will always be green, but not dark green like Anubias or Cryptocoryne parva. Instead, it gives a soft green tone that is very refreshing. Another interesting characteristic is their size. This is a mid-ground plant, and it only grows up to 3 or 4 inches. If you keep them under low lighting, they'll grow a bit taller and thinner. But under high lighting, they'll grow smaller and form beautiful, thick bushes. It's the perfect mid-ground plant, and they're really hardy. They'll make it in a wide range of water parameters. Just make sure to add some kind of CO2 to your tank. Even liquid CO2 supplements will be enough. Also, propagation for this plant is extremely easy. To be fair, this is true with any stem plant. Cut anywhere along the stems and replant the cuttings. These cuttings will develop new roots and continue to grow. Number 2. Hydrocotyle tripartita. Small clover-like leaves, dense and fast growth. What's not to love? And if that's not enough, it can be used as a background, mid-ground, and even foreground plant. It all depends on how much you want to trim it. This is a fast-growing plant. If you want to use it in the foreground, it's going to take some serious trimming. In my opinion, the best placement for it is the mid-ground section. And I especially enjoy the way it looks when placed in between rocks. It will start to climb the rocks and get mixed in with other plants. And that's when it shines the most. When it starts getting mixed with other plants. It creates a nice contrast. This plant doesn't need to be planted in an active substrate. It works pretty well when used as an epiphyte. Now, if you plant it in the soil, it will grow faster. That's when you really need to pay attention to it, because it can spread all over the tank. One last thing. You should think about what kind of fish you want to have before you decide to use this plant. Since there's so little space between the leaves, slow swimmers like bettas can have a bad time with it. Before we continue with this list, I wanted to mention that I used to have a small online shop where I was selling my own aquatic plants, grown in my tanks. I'm reopening that shop. All the plants will be grown completely underwater with CO2 and high lighting. If you guys are interested, you can find it in my channel homepage. There will also be a link in the description. And if there are any plants that you'll be interested in seeing there, please let me know in the comments. Number 3. Rotala narrow leaf SP red. I talked about this plant in another video before, but it's such an amazing plant that I didn't want to leave it out of this list. What's so special about it? Well, it's special because it doesn't require much to achieve that red coloration. Most Rotalas that I've used needed significantly low nitrogen levels to get to this color, 10 ppm or less. On the other hand, Rotala narrow leaf SP red does it with normal nitrogen levels. Let's use this tank as an example. Nitrogen levels in this tank are about 40 ppm, which is common. Throughout the week, fish waste, leftover food, all these things start to accumulate, raising nitrogen levels. That's why we do water changes. Because after a while, it goes up too much and could harm your fish. I've always struggled to keep these levels below 10 ppm. So when I found this plant and realized how easy it was for it to turn red, I'm not going to lie, I was really excited. And I wanted to share that with you guys, because you can do it too. Number 4. Hantus callitrichoides Cuba. This is my favorite carpeting plant. I tried using this plant in the first aquascapes I built, but I couldn't get it to form a full carpet. There were 4 reasons for that. Let's go over them so you guys don't make the same mistakes. First, I was using tissue culture plants, which are great for many reasons. But if you don't take all the gel out before you plant them, the plants will melt. And since their leaves are so small, it's hard to get all the gel out. The second problem was rolling soil. I always try to create a slope with the soil. That way, I can see all the plants in the scape. If you do the same, make sure to use some rocks to keep the soil in place. Because if you don't, it will slowly roll forward and cover the foreground plants. It doesn't matter how much they try to grow. If the soil keeps covering them, they'll never thrive. The last 2 problems I was having were lighting and CO2. You need a light that would reach all the way down to the bottom of the tank, a strong light. And CO2 is one of the biggest requirements for this plant. I'm not sure if you could keep it without CO2 injection. But if you get all these things right, you'll get a gorgeous full carpet every time. Number 5. Hygrella pinnatifida. My wife calls this plant the palm tree plant. It does look like a palm tree. Maybe I can use this wood and place the plant on top of it to make it look like a real palm tree. I think I'll do that in the future. The cool thing about this plant, other than the way it looks, is how versatile it is. You can use it as an epiphyte, or you can plant it in the soil. Other epiphytes, like anubias or bucephalandras, cannot be placed in the soil, which makes Hygrella pinnatifida a pretty special plant. Also, if it's exposed to high lighting for enough time, it can get quite a nice pink coloration. It's a really cool plant that once you used it, you'll never want to stop using it again. All the plants in this list are interesting and unique in their own ways. If you haven't used some of them in your own aquariums, I encourage you to do so. You won't regret it. See you all next week.